Symbols.
Quickly mark your attendance, please. Lena Tariq, sweetheart, I can't read what you've written because it's all a bunch of boxes. That's Lena. I have Lena.
Am ठीक है?
Yes, now it's better. Ramani. Please write in your attendance so that we now begin our lesson.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam, Ariba. How are you? Okay,
Ma'am,
I think you have some sort of trouble with your internet because I can't hear you properly. Your voice has gone robotic today. All right.
Yes.
We had started this session yesterday and today.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam. Today we're going to complete it. I am going to show you a sample from the CIE exams, and we're going to cross-examine it and see the good sides and the bad sides and how much it can be graded according to the language used. When it comes to report writing, you need to make sure that your concepts are clear. In this article, you will go through the O-level report writing sample. After that, we will discuss some strengths and weaknesses of the response. Okie dokie. In today's lesson, we will be reviewing the O-level report writing question. We will have a look at the sample. We will have a look at the author's comments. Author's comments are basically the examiner's comments. If you, not as yet, but next year, when I will start introducing the CIE papers to you, you will be able to see that for every paper, the examiners, that is the CIE examiners, they write down a report as to what kind of a paper it was, what kind of language was required, how many students scored A's, A stars, A's, B's, C's, etc. Okay, based on the result. Based on the result that, the results, the accumulative results of all the students who have attempted that paper, the examiner reports are published, okay? So one of those examiner reports based about today's, report will be shared. Transition words for an informative paragraph. We're going to, I'm going to show you the use of transitory words to make your paragraph more informative. O-level English writing, report writing format, the practice question for O-levels English report writing, and important features in a report, and then we will come to the end of the lesson. Now, here is your question. This has been taken from one of the previous past papers. This is what your question one, section 1, task 1 looks like. Section 1, directed writing. You are advised to write between 200 and 300 words. You will be awarded up to 15 marks for the following task instruction, and you will be awarded 15 marks for the language you use. So your task is, many new students join your school every year. Your principal wants to make starting your principal wants to make starting at the school as easy as possible for the new students, and she asks you to write a report for her about how to do this. Write your report. You must include the following. Bullet one is some of the difficulties that you and other students had when you joined the school. The second one is suggestions about what the school can do to help new students. And finally, how the students and the school will benefit from those suggestions. You have to cover all 3 points in detail. You should make your report polite and informative. Start your report to the principal. Remember to give a name and date. That is your name and the date you're writing it on. Now, the first and the foremost thing that I have noticed in this question is that you're going to first analyze the question. Now, the situation is that new students are joining the school every year. This is the situation. Now, who is asking you? Your principal.
Principal.
Yeah. And um, what is their requirement? They want to make the starting for this progression for the students easier. Okay, that is basically the requirement. She asks you to write a report. Now, remember, notice the gender of your principal is being revealed. Normally, when we say principal, there automatically a he comes in our mind, but they're telling you the gender over here. So you're going to you know, um, tackle the situation in the same manner, keeping the gender in mind. Now, she asks you to write a report for her. The report is going to be addressed and written for the principal only. Okay? And these are the 1, 2, 3 things that the report should cover. Okay? Now, what we will do is we are going to read the sample. O-level report writing sample to the principal, and then give a space, writing down the subject and highlighting it. Starting school as easy as possible for new students. This report is going to deal with the problems faced by new students and various possible solutions on how to make starting at the school easier for new students. Can you just see how this is basically an introduction? Simple. Whatever was asked in the question, whatever situation was created for you in in the question has been twisted and written over here to give the introduction of the report. It is very delightful to hear that many students are willing to join our school this year, 2020. You can mention, as you can see, you can mention the year in parentheses. However, the students are likely to face some problems during their initial days in school. The sudden change in the environment is what makes the candidates uncomfortable. They do not feel a part of the institute. Moreover, approaching teachers and students is even more difficult. To help the new students, we can conduct an assembly on the first day of school to introduce the teachers and the students to each other. Furthermore, a warm-hearted welcome will give them a friendly atmosphere, which is likely to make them comfortable. Simultaneously, all of this will bring some benefit. Oh, wait. Simultaneously, all of this will bring some benefits to the students and the school. This will allow the candidates to adjust to a new surrounding in less time span. The students will feel like a part of the institute, and therefore they will be able to concentrate on their studies, thus producing good grades. Due to all this, the reputation of the school is likely to enhance, and the biggest achievement of a school is the satisfaction of its students. Overall, I hope that my recommendations will be taken into suggestion and they will make starting at school easier. If you have any questions related to my suggestions, you can find me in class 10C Green at any time between 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Adam Ryan, 12th October 2021. Okay, now here come the post-mortem examiner reports. This report is now, this is what the examiner had to say about the report that we have just read. This report is a perfect sample to discuss how to write a report for your O-level examination. This report is likely to receive a B or a C grade due to certain reasons. Now, what are these reasons? The report is likely to receive high marks for its task fulfillment. This is because the report starts with to the principal as the question instructs. Similarly, the subject is clearly mentioned, which is essential when you are writing a report. In the end, the name and date are mentioned because the question says, remember to give a name and date. However, when it comes to language, the response is likely to lose marks due to certain reasons. But what are these reasons? The question clearly instructs to make your tone polite and informative. Although the tone is polite, it could have been a little bit more informative. The below mentioned transition words can make your report informative. Transition words for an informative paragraph. First, for the initial detail, for the first detail, you can use the transitory words such as first, for example, to start, to begin. For the middle section, you can use words such as also, in addition, next, plus. And for the final bit, you can write down last but not least, lastly, finally, or to summarize. Okay? Remember, it is important to incorporate such linking words. We call them linkers, we call them connectors, we call them transition words as well. Okay? This takes us to discuss the format of O-level report writing. The format for report writing is as follows. Directed writing to the whoever you're writing it to, and then you write down the subject just like you write down in an application. Then your first paragraph will be introduction. Your second paragraph will cover your first content point. Your third paragraph will cover the second content point. Your fourth paragraph is going to cover the third content point, and your fifth paragraph is going to cover your conclusion. And at the end, just like you saw in the sample, you're going to write down your name and the date that you are writing it on. Okay? No issues. I will be sharing the same link on Google Classroom so you can connect to it whenever you feel like. While writing, your text would look something like this, but remember this subject is going to come over here. Okay, you write the subject over here. Sorry, a typing error here, due to which the subject has gone all the way over here. Okay, okay. To the whoever you're writing the report to, and then you mention the subject. Again, your first paragraph will be introduction, your first content point, second content point, third content point. If you can see, first bullet, if your first content point is basically the first bullet in the question, second content point is the second bullet in the question, third content point is the third bullet in the question, and your last paragraph is basically the conclusion where you're going to sum up your report writing. You write down your name. Signature is not mandatory. It is not compulsory. It is just an option. You can or cannot write it. And finally, the date. Now, when you write something about report, when you write, one thing that you need to know about report writing is time to practice. Below, there is a question for directed writing report. Try to, you are obviously, you're not going to try, but you are going to attempt it based on the Cambridge International Examination. Um, Remember, as Shakar pointed out yesterday, you have to incorporate, if since this was even if you check the report that was written up over here, remember that you have to incorporate the 5 W's. Now, what are the 5 W's? Yeah, text kidhar hai mera? Okay, here it is. I want to write the text. What are the 5 W's? Oh, yeah, your text. How do you increase the size of the text? Anyone has an idea how I can increase the size of text in here? It is just 2 times I need to write. Over here in...
Ma'am, there should be like, you can check fonts and then it should have size as well.
No. Actually, I'm using this the annotating tool from Zoom, and when I press text, it only gives me this box. Can you see this box over here? And there's a wee bit cursor. I'll try and show you. Who, what? Can you see how tiny it's writing?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll just remove it. Okay, I'll simply use my pen then. I'll use my own pen. The 5 W's, what a horrible 5 that is. Mention who,
What,
when,
where,
where, what,
and why.
Who?
very good, and why. And sometimes,
Sometimes hey.
how. Sometimes it will ask you how, okay? Now, if you notice, if you remember the sample that we have just read, who is part of the report? It is the principal and myself, and obviously the students who have had trouble joining initially, and those new students who are joining the school this year. When at the start of this year or before the start of the new academic year, where obviously at the school, what is asked? You have to address the topic, which is joining the school and the difficulties faced, and why. Or you can also say that what is the suggestions that you gave and why, so that the school will benefit from them. Okay? Most of the questions were already, if you look at the 5 W's, most of these were either answered within the report, or you had to all 5 of them were almost asked over there. The how bit was writing the report. Okay, Sophia, I'm having a class. Bete, laptop hilta hai. ठीक हो क्या?
Ma'am?
Yes, darling.
Ma'am, in the example, he did not write any of his experience when he was a new student. What problem did he face?
No, see, he was talking about not his personal experiences, although he did mention, he collectively spoke for all the students. That is exactly what the examiner report mentioned, that there could have been more information. Okay, there could have been a bit bit more, it could, the student could have made the report a bit more informative, not only by adding those transitive words, but also adding a little more detail. Okay, that some a little detail was still missing. Now let's have a look at today's question for you guys. This is what you will attempt today. Um, your question is, majority of your schoolmates are not interested in sports. Situation is given. You have carried out a survey on the reason for their lack of interest. Based on your findings, write a report to the principal regarding the matter. You must include the following in your report: reason for the lack of interest in sports, some information on school facilities, providing suggestions to overcome the problem. Cover all points in detail. Remember to keep your tone polite and informative. Start your report to the principal and provide a proper conclusion to your report. Remember, the purpose of the introduction and conclusion is to reinstate the subject of your report. Okay, the purpose, keep this in mind. The purpose of writing an introductory and conclusive paragraph is to reinstate, that is, what is going to be another word? To bring up or make sure that you are being heard based on the subject of your report. Okay. So obviously you're going to have 5 paragraphs. Your first one is going to be introduction. Your fifth one is going to be conclusion. Point 1 is going to be your second, and then these 3 points, each point is going to take a separate paragraph. You are going to address, you're going to begin by writing to the principal, then you're going to extract your subject. You're going to extract your subject and write the subject before introduction, and then obviously based on all the information that you have gathered over here. Now, what is the information that you have gathered? Most majority of schoolmates not interested in sports. And what have you got? You have carried out a survey. It means you have facts on your hand. Okay, you can mention, you can clearly mention that we have let's say 1,000 students or 1,400 students at our school. From my survey, I have figured out that, let's say 72% students or 82% students are not interested in sports. Why? You have to give the reasons why they couldn't be interested. Can you think of a few?
Coronavirus.
Yes, coronavirus. Let's
Sorting.
think. Let's think of a, okay. Let's take it in the pandemic situation. Let's take it in the pandemic scenario. Students, they are scared of physical contact with each other because they fear that they might catch the coronavirus. Okay. What else?
Sweat.
Reason? Yes, Hamail. Yes, better. What else could be the reason? Then we'll be short of time. Okay, someone just gave me something in the chat. Sweat, no. Um, Giving up very good. Poor
Lack of
that will, Lina, that will come in some information on school premises.
uh, lack of school facilities.
Lack of school facilities again will be part of your second point. Some information on school facilities. Lack of interest. Why will students not be interested in playing sports? Okay, I understand coronavirus. What else could be the reason? How many of you go out and play?
Laziness.
Laziness. Why are they lazy? What do they want to do instead of playing sports?
Hot. Ma'am, hot
Uh,
weather.
anything. I'd rather do anything.
Um,
Ma'am, someone write hot weather.
yes, I know.
No interest.
What is this? What am I holding? Is it a gadget?
Yes, ma'am.
Playing Fortnite,
Yeah, Safan.
PUBG? Isn't it so? Playing game of
Phone addiction.
student children are more your um, children the school going children are more interested in online gaming. They are experts at online gaming. You can bring that up as a lack of reason for the lack of interest. Then some information on school facilities. If you talk about the um, hot weather can be a good reason, but then again there are sports that can be played indoors. Okay, there are like for example in your own school you have a swimming pool. Okay, your the auditorium in the basement that we have, it is fully air conditioned. So that is like although many schools cannot provide such facilities, but since we are talking about our school, you cannot say that hot weather is a reason why your school students at your school do not want to play. Okay? Providing suggestions to overcome the problem. Once you identify the problems in your first two points, that is lack of interest and some information on school facilities, you can use that information to write down suggestions how this problem can be solved. Okay. Now, once you have covered all the points in detail, um, you bring your report to an end by writing a concluding paragraph in which you are going to sum up your idea and persuade the principal to take action on your um, suggestions. ठीक है? Okie dokie. Finally, क्या हमने कहना है? Important features in a report. I'll just take 2 minutes extra. Important features in a report. Use transition words. Yes. Okay, fine. Zoom, I remember. Use transition words. Some transition words are for time. We use for time. You can use words such as afterwards, recently, subsequently, then, earlier, and immediately.
Earlier,
To emphasize your
immediately,
point, you can say even, indeed, truly, and in
indeed,
fact.
truly, and in fact.
To compare two things in their similarity, you can use also, in the same way, and likewise. To summarize, to bring your report to an end, you can use finally, to conclude, briefly, in conclusion, on the whole, thus. Okay? Do not use vague sentences. Never be ambiguous. Be very vivid, be very clear when you are writing a statement. Let's look at an example of ambiguity. You should make the environment sustainable. This is a vague statement. To improve it, provide details such as by planting trees and increasing the vegetation. How can you make the environment sustainable? By planting trees and increasing vegetation. Now, make paragraphs and connect them with words such as similarly and simultaneously. That is, connect the idea of one paragraph with the second paragraph by using connectors, linkers, transitory words. Keep your tone informative and refined. Refined means very the way you will speak to someone senior to you in a polite way. in a way that will not be disrespectful, but in a very polite and in a manner that is going to provide the reader with a lot of information. Elaborate your reason for writing in the introduction and conclusion. Please, again, the introductory and concluding paragraphs are for you to emphasize or elaborate upon the reason why you are writing. Use mature words. Use bigger, better vocabulary. Instead of using bad, avoid bad. Instead, use words such as substandard or unpleasant. Okay? You're grown-ups now. You've learned enough words. You have ample vocabulary on hand to use in your report. Remember, the use of good vocabulary helps you get good marks in your examination. Use compound. Okay, use compound at least two independent clauses, and complex sentences contain an independent clause and one or more dependent clause along with simple sentences. That is basically, have you guys done simple, compound, and complex sentences previously? Pre-O levels, have you done the kinds of sentences
Yes.
complex and simple? Other than Shahkar, because I taught
Yes.
last year. Okay, fine, doesn't matter.
No.
I'd like you guys to write down your report this time, and then I will have a lesson on grammar as well. Okay?
Ma'am, wait, what's the word limit?
Word limit is 200 to 300 words. Okay?
Only?
Yeah. Reports are usually very short. Conclusion. With this, our topic O-level report writing sample has come to an end. I hope that your questions are answered. If you have any queries, you can use the comment section in WhatsApp group. If you think that you are prepared to attempt a report, try answering the practice question mentioned above. You have to answer it. Make sure to observe the word limit. That is 200, a least of 200, a maximum of 300 words. Thank you very much for reading and staying with me. Okay. Basically,
Allah, ma'am.
basically I'll post the question on Google Classroom, and you have to write down a report on the lack of interest in sports. Sorry, I tend to forget things. ठीक हो गया? चलें, with that we come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much. A maximum, I have a class in 3 minutes. Maximum by 11:30, I'll post your lesson online. Okay? Thank you very much. Make sure you have marked your
Bye.
attendance. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.